my fellow dreamers. What is up? Welcome back to the Dreamers Life podcast. Hey, what should you do if you ever find yourself stuck in a whirlpool? Well, that's where our conversation went to today, and I think it's a conversation you're really going to enjoy, and we might all get something out of too, so let's get started.
This podcast is a presentation of Pioneer Dream, celebrating 30 years of moving stories for our corporate, nonprofit, and entertainment partners.
Well, hello, all you fellow dreamers out there in Dreamers Land. Welcome back to the Dreamers Life podcast. We are thrilled that you're here. I am Jay Webster. I am joined, as always, by my cohort and co-conspirator and co-dreamer, Anjanette. Say hello, Anjanette.
Oh, thank you so much.
And the mild applause went crazy.
Would it be Dreamsland? Is that how you'd
Dreamsland?
Dreamsland. Like Newfoundland? Like that show we're watching.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to think about it.
We'll workshop that. We'll put that in together. Speaking of which,
yes.
On September 19th, we have a Dreamers Live event, and it's of all places, it is at the center.
Yes.
Our Performing Arts Center.
Very cool location.
On the balcony, overlooking all of downtown.
Yes.
And it's super, super cool.
We're excited about that. That's going to be super neat to be able to have such a great view.
We've never been in this venue before. We're expecting a great crowd and a great night. We're hoping that the weather, which is kind of turning fallish, will be perfect for that. And we'll get to see a pretty wonderful sunset in the process. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Good timing.
And there may or may not be some after events, which we cannot get into yet, but we'll tell you about that as we get there. So mark that on your calendar. If you're close, if you're in the Ville region, mark September 19th. Doors open around 7. It's usually kind of, or it's 7. They close at 7. It's kind of 5 to 7, and there'll be cocktails and coffee and conversation and community and a couple other C's, I'm sure.
Yes.
We'll just work all that out.
We'd love to see you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
So that's that. Also, just business-wise, we have released a couple other great podcasts. You can always go to dreamerscoalition.com, and there's a podcast page, and then we'll take you to, we have 3 different podcasts on there. And you can get the latest episode of each of those. We just did one for Got a Minute mini podcast, which is the one where we pair a humor chapter with a music, with the original music from you, and you kind of give us the storyteller's version of that, where you tell us the story behind the song and all that kind of stuff. And I guess they used to call that Behind the Music.
That's what it was.
Maybe it was. No, I don't know. There's 2 different programs.
That's right. And then there was, but one was MTV and one was VH1.
Yeah.
There down the road.
That moment where you realize that, VH1 is for you older people. And that's when you knew, no, this is programming for us people.
That's right. Now they all just play gross reality TV, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, so there's that. And then there's another podcast, which shall not be named. Actually, we do, but it's called Mystics. Mm-hmm. And it's a more spiritually based podcast. So, when we do Dreamers Live, we do big broad strokes of things to help and connect with everyone. And then this one is for people who are specifically interested in kind of spiritual things and our viewpoint on it, I guess. And it's pretty entertaining. But
our viewpoint and jokes on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we just did a live version of that podcast called Mystics Meetup.
Yeah.
And
it was fun.
it was a lot of fun. And so anyway, you can listen to that on that same podcast, the Mixed Up Mystics. So listen to Mixed Up Mystics or Got a Minute mini podcast and be entertained, highly entertained.
Yes. And as we say, so many podcasts, so little time.
If they didn't make so much gosh darn money, we wouldn't do it. But man, it's hard to say no. Yeah. How's everything for you?
Good.
You got the crazy eye. We've all got the allergy stuff.
Yes,
It's not
the
helpful.
Ragweed is
it's not helpful anymore when you get, it's one thing to be on the social medias and get things from, all the political viewpoints of the people around you.
Yeah.
Now, somehow, I'm getting weather updates from every local station in our region.
Really?
And they
bought the time?
I don't
bought the space?
know why and how, but they each have taken it upon themselves since it's social media to not just report what's happening, but to be really quirky about it or funny. Like the News Channel 8 ABC affiliate here, they really spend a lot of time just making quirky, funny stuff for their social media posts and all that.
Is this happening on your phone?
Oh my gosh! So the other day I had a few minutes in between things, and I'm thought I'll jump on, check out a few things on Facebook and on the Facebooks. And there it was. Channel 8 was doing a thing on the weather and said, oh, by the way, we are like DEFCON 5 on ragweed. And I'm like, I mean, I did feel bad. I do feel bad, but I don't really need to know that's how bad it is.
That's like when you get the 10-day forecast and it just says 105 for the next 10 days.
It's like, is it a cloudy day? No, the sun's being blocked by an asteroid that's about to hit us. No, I don't really need to know that. Just, so it's cloudy today. It's partly cloudy, partly asteroidy today.
Well, and our daughter was talking about one of her her broadcasting professor, shout out to Ms. Zelmore. Ms. Zelmore was saying, she said, guys, if you're having a rough day, whatever's happening, it's your allergies.
Yeah,
it's the ragweed.
right.
And so they started blaming everything in the day on the ragweed.
Mm-hmm.
And so Evangelin's been doing that at home.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, you're supposed to put your laundry away. Well, it's the ragweed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, again, and we don't have to get any details, but having kids is not for the faint of heart. Having a 13-year-old, it feels like you got to be able to clap out of some of these years like you do classes, but we're not there. It's not working for us.
We're having a great adventure.
And she's a really great kid. So, if you have trouble kids like most of you guys do, I don't know what you're going through, but man.
I know. We're not as smart or as cool as we used to be.
Yeah, my goodness.
It's a bummer.
Speaking of troubles,
yes.
As most of these podcasts do, this concept of this conversation started with a conversation between you and I, maybe last weekend or something.
Okay.
And we were talking about some friends of ours and that we care a lot about. And, you had made the joke or the statement, well, it's pretty obvious what would help this person. It's pretty obvious what they should do to, kind of improve their status in life.
Oh, it was me saying that?
Yeah. And you're like, I just don't know why they just can't do the right thing. I don't know why they can't do the thing that's so completely obvious. And
I don't think I was being so judgmental about it.
Yeah, it was pretty sketchy.
Okay, jeez.
And so, and then it occurred to us, I said, well,
usually because you love someone, you get frustrated.
Exactly.
You're like,
so
if they would just stop eating the sugar, they wouldn't have diabetes.
The frustration is this kind of, in a sense, an overwhelming concern for the well-being of someone, and this kind of want for good things to happen for them. And so that becomes frustration.
Yeah.
And
everyone else can see those things in our life too. That's what's so interesting.
Yeah. And so you were like, well, why can't and why don't they just do? And I thought, that's an interesting thing because doing the right thing is actually, in most cases, much more challenging and difficult than it would seem. And we as humans kind of have this natural gravitational pull towards same. So whatever same pattern we have in our life, SAME, that's kind of what we tend to hold to. So if your same pattern is being afraid of commitment, or if your same pattern is having trouble getting out of the house and being social, or if your same pattern is blowing up relationships after every 6 months, or your same pattern is difficulty holding down a job or letting someone tell you what to do in a job.
Yeah.
We have
a lot of jobs.
You do. Your resume is quite long. But the idea of just saying, well, they should just, the reality is on our own, we have a very difficult time changing those behaviors and doing that. And, as you and I have discovered, other humans are like the new super drug. Yeah. Because it's, I think about.
You mean being around other humans?
Yeah. Okay. Like if I were to, if I didn't have you, have you, babe.
It'd be a sad story.
I'd be all right.
You'd be pretty popular if you didn't have me. I've seen the ladies.
Yeah, please. They don't know. They don't know. No, but I think about, if I didn't have you, the idea of being social, that would be gone. I might not.
You don't think at all?
I don't know that I would ever leave the house again.
Oh, you're kidding. That's so boring.
I think about if I didn't have other people in my life, there's probably nothing that I've started that I would finish. Yeah. If I didn't have other people in my life, there's probably, I wouldn't really want or be that interested in trying something new, doing something new, all those kind of things. Just getting off the couch is a thing. And so for a lot of our friends who are, really struggling, I think about that. Most of them are single. There's nothing wrong with being single, but they don't have a lot of people in their lives that are pushing them,
Forced
pressing them.
socialization. Yeah.
Or, to help them do the things they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And so on my own, I'm willing and able to come up with every excuse to not do X, Y, or Z.
And I have plenty of things that I would come up with excuses not to
you
do
and
either.
you and I, including today, press each other to go and do the things that might help us and might, like you and I do that for each other. And on my own, I don't know that I could pull that thing off.
Yeah, I think it's harder for people that are alone.
Yes.
Whether or not they're single by choice or, circumstantially. There's not that built in. It's also can be a lot more peaceful.
Yes, right. Well, and you
get to do more of what you'd like.
You
but
can easily become, what's the term for people who something, where you enable each other to do the bad things.
That co-conspirators.
Kind of,
I guess we always say,
But I was thinking about, in a sense, this gravitational pull
Toward
towards
isolation,
the same, just towards sameness, whatever pattern. It's not just single people; it's everybody.
Yeah, you felt like it's sort of like, where do you want to go eat? I mean, it's not very small. Where do you want to go eat? Oh, we always get the sushi one or whatever it is.
You could be you might be in a place where your daily life is not fulfilling, and yet you stay in the same place for forever because the idea of just sending that email or doing that conversation or whatever is really difficult. And so I was, we used to go to, now we don't anymore because our daughter's aged out of all things cute and fun, but, but for years on the west side of town has been, the Frontier, we used to be Frontier Pool, diving platforms and all that stuff.
A couple of water slides.
And now it's this brilliant,
it's really cute.
Tourism-worthy little splash pad. And in the middle of this little splash pad off to one side is this whirlpool. And it's probably about 10 feet in diameter. It's got two little rings. And and it has enough centrifugal force that if you allow yourself, you would just be going in a big circle.
In a circle, even though it opens up to the bigger part of the pool.
Yeah, it all opens up. But the way that current works, it just keeps you. That's part of the fun of it. So you can float on that. You can bob up and down. It moves pretty quickly, so there's some of that energy to it and all that kind of stuff. But it will just keep you in that circle based on the momentum of that current. And with Evangeline, because she's often small. A lot of times I would have to stand on the outside and then I would have to reach in, take her hand, and using the momentum of that thing, I would just pull on her and I would pull her out
of the cycle,
out of the cycle and into the open water. And that's that's the ability that we have for each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes somebody from the outside.
Almost always.
To help break the momentum of the centrifugal force of the whirlpool that just keeps you in this cycle.
Yeah.
To pull you out and say, oh, I'm going to help you with this. I'm going to help you do this, this, and this. So, if you are in a stuck place, like this friend who really, really wants to do more active stuff and be in exercise and do all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Well, on their own, they're not doing any of it.
Right. It's too hard.
And the idea of getting something at home you could do. No,
just
So
go.
so we read this book 100 years ago, and it, to get more out of life, to get more out of yourself, and it was a whole lot of more. And I lost interest in it early on, but it did have this one exercise, this one thing that you and I have practiced for a long time that I think is really exceptionally good, and he termed it as creating an inciting incident. So you in your mind, you are thinking, okay, I really want to exercise more. I want to get more active. I want to do that. And you're 3 or 4 months into saying this to yourself.
Or then shopping it out to your kids.
I really want to exercise more. I
I
really should exercise more. So an inciting incident to that would be call a friend and say, will you do this with me?
Yeah.
I can't exercise. I won't go on the walk by myself. I won't go to the thing on my own. I won't lift weights on my own. I won't do this on my own.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to do this with me?
Yeah.
Or the inciting incident would be call the YMCA and enroll in a class. And
pay your money.
There's a time that you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, it's like,
there are people that are going to be there. There's an instructor who's going to be there. And so now there's weight in the game.
Yes.
If you have this thing, where you're in a dead end spot in your day job, in your day life.
Yeah.
Well, an inciting incident would be emailing your boss saying, "Can I get 5 minutes of your time?" And then look at what opportunities, what options might be available to you that would take you into something else that you might enjoy.
Yeah. So you're saying that, if I remember the inciting incidents theory, it was really good. It was probably the thing, the best thing we kept from that book. But sometimes you almost.
Which, side note, if you read a book like that, like for lack of a better term, a self-help book or a motivational book or whatever, it's my belief, and I think we're in agreement about this, but it's my belief that if you get 10% of that book, if it's here are 10 things you can do to change your world, and you take one of those away,
great,
you're rich.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to incorporate all 10 or 20 of those things into your life. Like we were reading a book right now on nutrition.
Yes.
And there's no way we're going to incorporate all those things and get rid of all these things.
Well, I'm reading it and giving you the cliff notes, you slacker.
I'm listening to the podcast.
You're like, what was in the chapter?
But, even if we incorporate 10, 20, or 30% of that into our lives, we will be healthier than as if we had not read the book.
And that's the way I always take books like that. There's a nugget, like a thesis of a book or a nugget.
This book was great.
And sometimes you can get that in the first third. Other times it's kind of unveiled.
This particular book that we were reading was a great book, but there were really only a few things that were applicable to our lives that could help our particular situation. And it would be different for different people.
Part of the way we think.
But for us, this idea of creating an inciting incident, and you're in the middle of something, so do something that will commit you to the goal.
Basically what it is you're in the whirlpool that we were talking about before, and you realize that you're in the whirlpool, and then you talk to some people about realizing you're in the whirlpool.
You're talking to the people in the whirlpool.
And then finally you get sick of talking to people in the whirlpool about the thing.
And you call, "Hey, Ralph, give me your hand."
Yeah, exactly.
And so the idea of not trying to get out of the whirlpool by yourself, because that's really difficult.
Or you could say, "Ralph, in 5 minutes, I'm going to need you to come and get me."
Right.
But you're in essence giving yourself a sort of a risk or a deadline that's going to require
really what it is
choice.
And a lot of times it does involve another person, but really what it is at some level, it's an action step, but when it involves another person, there's an accountability to it.
And an embarrassment if you didn't follow through.
Yeah.
Which sometimes
it gives them the opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm coming for you at 5 to go to the Y."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that.
I remember you and I used to, and this is a long time ago, and we were young and I don't know, impetuous. Is that a word?
Naive.
That is a word. I don't remember. Yes, all those things. But if we had an idea in our community for something, like we used to do a lot of volunteer events, and we helped with downtown development. So if we had an idea for something that we thought would be cool to do in downtown, and we felt like it was a good idea after we sat on it a bit, we would actually write a press release and send it to the newspaper about the project that we're doing.
And all the things we're going to be doing at that project, yes.
That's right.
And there'll be windmills, and there'll be jumpy jumps, and there'll be snow cone machines.
And some tiny donkeys
and
with
some people will be
ballerina skirts
doing music,
on.
and it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be so good. Come on down. And how much money are we going to make? None.
We're just going to pay to do this project. It's going to be great.
That's right. Anyway, but the inciting incident, we would throw it out there.
Yes.
And we would never say anything we didn't really know that we could accomplish.
Right.
But it would hold us accountable in front of people.
Yes.
It was a way to that. Now that's an extreme case of an inciting incident.
But
it can be as quick as calling a coffee.
The principles
for
are true.
coffee.
Yeah, like if you need to get out more.
Yeah.
You need to do so. The inciting incident is to literally stop what you're doing now. Don't think about it. Just text the person. Can we get together for coffee?
Yeah.
I did that today.
Yeah.
There's somebody.
Your girlfriend or?
No, this is somebody in my family, and I was thinking, I really miss this person. I really wish we could connect more.
Yeah.
And do this and this and this. And so I just said, "Hey, let's meet in here, and we'll do it halfway, and then we'll do this, and we'll do it during the school day. So your kids will be gone, my kid will be gone, and we'll have this hour or two, and we'll do it.
It's great, and it's worth it.
But I did it before I stopped myself from doing it.
Yeah, I do that too. If we do a lot of different things in our life, but I don't have a ton of time to work on music as much as I'd want, and so it can get put on the back burner,
right?
Be just behind life and all the other things. Almost always, if I have an idea or an inspiration, I will immediately send a text to someone. My brother helps me produce my music, as do you.
Right.
And I remember just one time, I'd been kind of dragging my feet. I wasn't sure what to do. I finally got some inspiration, and I immediately texted him and said, "Hey, could I get some studio time?"
Yeah.
And no, I hadn't finished the song. No, I didn't know what I was going to do with it.
Yes.
We hadn't worked on it together, any of those things, but
We can.
I'd said something.
Yes, we can think ourselves
It made it
out of.
real.
We can think
Oh,
ourselves
yeah.
out of anything,
Anything.
and we can be waiting to flesh the idea out. We can be waiting to get it perfect. We can be afraid that if we commit to something, we will commit to the wrong. All those. There's just 1,000 reasons to not.
Yes.
But then you will not. I mean, and that's just the reality of it. And I'm working on this little building project at the house right now. It's a studio thing.
It's become quite elaborate, actually.
And I probably have 70% or 80% of it fully designed in my brain.
Yeah.
But if I weed through, and weed is a good description of it in the sense of you get in the weeds, not weed like smoke.
Right.
I heard where your mind was going, audience.
It did not.
Yeah. But you can get stuck in the weeds so easily. And if you're trying to get everything perfect before you get into it, for most of us, that's a stopping place. That's a place where we get held hostage in our brains.
Yes.
And so, that's for you at home listening audience, what's something that if you think back on it has been in your brain, 3, 4, 6 months, maybe 3, 4, 6 years. I really want to do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
I really wish I could do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
I really want to be with X, Y, or Z.
I really want to travel to Europe.
Yeah. So what do? You open a checking account and you start putting money into that checking account.
Yeah.
Or, if it's the person you want to go see, you go ahead and book the airfare.
Yeah.
You can change dates if you need to, but
We've done that before.
But book the airfare.
And make it happen.
Do the thing, because and sometimes, doing the inciting incident, sometimes that brings relief. Oh, you know what? I really don't want to do this. I thought I did. I thought I was interested in going to Spain. Turns out now that I've gotten this far in it, I really don't have that much interest in it. Or it turns out I wanted to make my own ice cream, but then I just went to Brahms and I bought it, and it's really delicious.
It's like we tried to brew your own beer.
Yeah, but
much work.
it's not so much. It's in a sense, I hate the term closure, but in a way, it's like
You're forcing it
it's
into fruition.
It's either do it or get off the pot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I really don't have to go right now.
Yeah.
And now I figured that out. But there's something about not letting that thing take up brain space and kind of putting that away emotionally and not beating ourselves up because we haven't done it. Even if determining that we don't really want to do it is the solution, is the outcome of it. So doing the inciting incident is not so much about, okay, I'm going to have to do this or I'm going to have to do that. It's really about resolving it one way or the other so it doesn't toy with your brain and your emotions and create self-loathing because you haven't done it yet. So
yeah, but I mean, without talk about cliche, but without taking that one step or asking, as that whirlpool's going, and without saying, "Hey, Ralph, I need you to come and give me a hand," or whatever that is. And it could be, I think for a lot of people, the idea of therapy or talking with a counselor, there's a lot less stigma about it than there used to be, which I think is awesome.
Yes.
But even just being willing to make a call to ask, or an email, or saying to someone, I think I might need to talk to someone about this.
It doesn't take that much, but you can ask for a friend to help you be accountable. You can take that step, it's a micro step or whatever, but doing that thing, especially when it has some accountability to it, is so important, and you end up being in a really rich place for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
No one has ever been, no one I've ever met has really been disappointed for taking that first step. Yeah. You can say later on, I got into that, figured I didn't want to do that, or I got into it and found, oh, this is magical, or I got into it and found this is too impractical for where I am in life right now, whatever. That's all fine. But taking that step. So I want to invite you guys right now, think about that for a minute. What one thing has been on a loop in your brain, maybe 4 to 6 months, maybe 4 to 6 years, or like every time you go to X, Y, or Z, you think, I really want to do, I've always wanted to do, I really wish I could, that thing. Isolate one of those and then think, now, what is an inciting incident I could do to take the first step in that?
Even if it's a small one.
Yeah. I want a band to do this. Okay, great. Book a rehearsal. I want to do a band. Go ahead, book the gig and then start rehearsing. Yeah. It's the very first step that is the most difficult one to get past. I remember when you were playing early on, and the idea of getting through a gig or the idea of getting through a practice, all that felt monumental.
Oh, huge.
Until you get over that little hump. And then it ends up not being nearly as big or bad as you think it is. But you have to get through the first step. You have to get out of that gate. And that first rehearsal was getting out of the gate. Get these people in a room together, slog through something. It's not going to be good
Make
or
all the
pretty or
chord
whatever.
charts,
Yeah, do the thing and then
it was
just
terrifying.
get through it. And then analyze it when you're done.
Yeah.
Get on the other side, and then you can say, okay, we'll figure it out from there. And that's really how we did, Dreamers Live for the first time. It was let's do this and feel it.
Yeah.
Let's feel it in the process. And we're not committing to a lifetime of these.
Right.
We're not committing to doing this the rest of our lives. And there's no huge emotional weight to this. Let's just do it.
See how it
If we have a
goes.
great time, great. If it was a great time, but it was a one and done, that's great. No one's going to penalize us for that.
Yeah.
So, if you listen to the audience, if you can't figure out an inciting incident on your own, make us your inciting incident.
Okay. Yeah,
You
that's what I was
can
thinking.
message us, you can email us, you can text us, you can call us,
Sure.
and say, "I really need help. This is something I want. This is something I've always wanted to do." Just the mere fact of telling another person,
Yeah.
"This is what I've always wanted to do." That's an inciting incident to itself.
Yeah. And the only other thing I'd add on to that is just, you and I, by nature, are risk takers. That's what's gotten us in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And
That's what's made us so wealthy.
yeah, exactly. But a lot of people, even that first step, that first inciting incident may need to be small.
Yes.
And because it often leads to the very next
Right.
one. And so when you're talking about, the bigger steps that we would take,
Yes.
and that may be too terrifying for somebody to think about having a whole first band rehearsal,
Right.
as an example, but
Yeah.
at least text the drummer,
Yeah.
but
you-
do something that,
If you're in that horrible relationship and you've been in that horrible, find one person, a trustworthy person you can
that you can
talk
be
to.
honest with. Yeah.
A counselor, a pastor, a friend, somebody that you can open up to if you want to get your driver's license. You've never gotten your driver's license. All those kinds of things. There's always something that you can do.
Yes, some little step. And I think most of the time, the energy of what results from your first inciting incident, your first risk that you take, generates enough energy that you want to keep doing those small steps.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
but if you're stuck, and man, have we all been there. I mean,
Yes.
dude, I feel like I'm there a few times a year.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in something, truly the only way to get out of that whirlpool is to, throw yourself out and ask somebody to help.
Right. So if you need a hand getting out of your whirlpool, dreamers,
Yes.
that's us. We're here to help. We'd
Let's
love
hope
to.
it's a comfortable temperature.
Let's avoid the hot spots in the pool.
That's right.
Hey, thank you, Dreamers, for joining us. We love this. We hope that we'll get to see you guys on September 19th when we do a Dreamers Live event in the center balcony. It's going to be a great night. Lots of neat stuff's going to happen. And we're not just inciting that. What's really going to happen.
It's official. We've paid the rental fee.
But we're looking forward to seeing you next time. And between now and then, peace out.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening. We'd love it if you would like and subscribe to the podcast and then share it with the people you know. We want to include as many people as possible in the conversation. Also, be sure to check out our Got a Minute Mini podcast, which pairs funny stories with original music all in about 15 minutes. Thanks! This has been a production of Pioneer Dream.